So to challenge myself, I wanted to play Soul Hackers 2 with only the main character Ringo, but there is a problem. In Soul Hackers 2 you cannot remove your party members, and whenever they die in battle, they get revived at the end of the fight. So normally, it is not possible to play this game without your friends. But you see, as a Shin Megami Tensei enjoyer, I don't believe in the power of friendship. So I had to find another way, and fortunately, I did. I contacted the modder 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, and he managed to make a mod that instantly kills my party members as soon as the battle starts. Now that all my friends are dead, the challenge can properly begin. So today I will try to beat the game with this mod, on hard mode, and without using any DLC. Without further ado, let's do this. Fun fact, in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 there's a class called Soul Hacker. Get it? Soul Hacker, just like in the title of this game.
I understand your attempts at humor. I simply do not find them entertaining.
Listen, I had to include this somehow. I am not sorry. In this world, the internet is a sentient being called Ion. To prevent the apocalypse from happening, Ion created two androids, Apple and Google, Ringo and Fig. Our mission is to protect these two dudes, Ichiro Honda and Arrow. Once the briefing is done, we get sent into the human world, and surprise, surprise, it turns out that both Ichiro Honda and Arrow are already dead. I don't know what kind of face she's making right now, but it always gets to me. Apparently, Ringo is a descendant of Jesus Christ because she manages to revive Arrow with soul hacking. Sure game, whatever you say. After coming back from the dead, Arrow joins us, and our new goal is to find a woman called Melody. And now it's time for the tutorial fight. It's a pretty straightforward encounter where the game teaches you how the mechanics work. It should be a piece of cake.
Not over yet. No data.
Let me explain. In this fight, the game forces you to do two things. Tell Ringo to use Zio on the dude, and tell Arrow to use Bufu on the demon. Normally, this shouldn't be a problem, but because of the mod I have installed right now, Arrow is currently dead, so he can't attack at all. Since this is the first battle in the game, it's not possible for Arrow to be dead already, so the game gets confused, and as a result, I am stuck in this never-ending battle forever. So basically, there is actually no way to complete the tutorial. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, I have an offer for you. This is the only instance where the game forces you to do something, and I think we can all agree that this fight doesn't matter since it's just a tutorial, you know? So, I'm gonna turn off the mod, beat the tutorial, save, and put the mod back on. We are just gonna pretend that this never happened. Sounds good? Sounds good. Actually, this is cheating because you had to turn off the mod, you scumbag. Anyways, I think now is a good time to talk about the central mechanic of this game. In Soul Hackers 2, whenever you hit an enemy's weakness, the demons in your party will be summoned and form a stack. After your turn ends, the demons in your stack will unleash a big attack on your enemies called Sabbath. The higher the stack number is, the higher the damage of the attack. Speaking of demons, unlike Shin Megami Tensei, where you use them to fight, in this game they are more like accessories. Equipping demons lets you use their skills and it gives you stat boost. This also allows you to copy the affinities of the demon you have equipped, aka the weaknesses and the resistances. With the tutorial done, I recruited Dormarth and I did a couple of battles to reach level 3. After that, I equipped myself with Poltergeist and I was ready to face the mini-boss of this dungeon. This fight is fairly simple. Tsushigumo and the summoner mostly use gun attacks, so the best thing to do here is to equip Poltergeist to gain a gun resistance. That demon is also great because it knows Bufu, which is effective on the spider. With 2 Bufus, the spider goes down and now I can easily take care of the summoner by spamming basic attacks. After the battle, my demon reached level 4 and once it did, I received the gift. When a demon has learned all of its skills, you will get the gift from them, and for most demons, what you receive is a Mystique. Mystiques are gems that you can slot into your comp and they give you various buffs. For example, Ice Augment 1 boosts your ice attack by 10%. With all of that stuff taken care of, I decided to start grinding in preparation for the real boss of this area. Everything was going well, but little did I know, I was about to make a fatal mistake. You see how the demon fully healed me there? Yeah, taking that heal was actually a mistake. The thing with the tutorial area is that you cannot leave this place until you beat the boss. This doesn't sound so bad until you realize that your ability to heal yourself is heavily limited. There are only 2 fixed spots in this area where demons will heal your HP and your MP. The first one gives you a tiny amount and the second is a full heal. These spots are a one-time only type of deal, so if you take them, they are gone. You will never find them again. This is a big deal because these two spots are your only reliable way to recover your MP. But wait, it gets worse! In this game, leveling up doesn't fully heal you, so if you aren't careful, it's actually possible to run out of MP, and if you don't have enough MP to use skills, you won't be able to beat enemies reliably to level up, which means that you will never be able to defeat the boss. So when I took that full heal earlier, I pretty much soft-locked myself into an unwinnable situation. After realizing that I screwed up, I decided to start a new save and I made it back to the point after the mini-boss. Then I had to think about which demon I would fight to level up. There are two demons that you can encounter in this place: 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 and furries. Grinding on the furries— wait, did I actually write this in the script? Okay, please don't take that out of context, I swear. Wait, this is not what I meant. Fighting the furries is extremely tedious because they can use a move called 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍. This attack deals the damage and restores their HP by half of what they dealt to you. If you don't use any spells and they spam this move, you are never going to win. So leveling up on them isn't ideal. 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍s on the other hand are perfect because they cannot heal themselves. It took me 3 hours of painful struggle, but eventually I managed to reach level 6. Up ahead we finally find Melody, but in order to progress, I had to defeat RS, who is the boss of the shipping district.
They call me RS cause I'm a dope MC. All my boys making noise in the COMP. So let's make this body count on 1, 2, 3!
I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this clown.
That's enough. In this fight you have to deal with RS and the Bicorn. Both are weak to force, and since the horse has less HP, I decided to finish it off ASAP. It always goes for Rakukaja on the first turn, which is great because it allows me to start damaging it before it gets to attack. Eventually, it does get a chance to hit me, but with my third Zen, I am able to take it out. As for RS, whenever he goes for Power Charger, on the next turn he will unleash a really strong attack, and this is your cue to start guarding to reduce the damage. The other move he can go for is Beastly Fist, which is a double hit attack. What makes this fight kinda tough is that RS hits you pretty hard, and at this point in the game, I cannot swap my demons during battle, so I can't use my Pixie's Dia to heal myself. I have to rely on my limited supply of healing items, and those things don't even heal me back to full. So if RS lands too many Beastly Fists, I won't be able to keep up with his damage. I eventually run out of healing items, and at that point, the fight turns into a race. I was pretty nervous, but then something interesting happened.
Gotta stand my ground.
I don't know if I can do this.
Slick skill for a quick kill. Time to get ill. RS in the house!
That double hit is brutal. Oh my god.
Alright,
Whack.
scatter! Big damage!
Too late for regrets now.
Piss off!
Alright, that's nice. Keep missing me, please.
Scatter!
Come on, I'm almost there.
Out of my way.
Almost there. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Turn for it now. This shred 'em. Big damage.
Ah, yes.
Too late
Alright, this
for
should be
regrets
enough.
now.
Charge!
Got spitting gold bars, and your talk is cheaper. I'm the RS, and I don't fear no Reaper.
I'm no Reaper, but I can send you to hell. So face the music, RS, and take the L.
Phew. First try, baby. Beating RS gives me access to the safe house, a place where I will be able to heal myself for free. Apparently there's a group called the Phantom Society, who is collecting covenants in order to summon the Great One and trigger the apocalypse. Now we have to find 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, who is one of the covenant holders, and protect him before it's too late. Alright, Aro and Melody did die before we could get to them, but surely this time with 𝙃𝘼𝙍 it's gonna be different. Oh, look, he's dead. Wow. As for what happens next, Jesus Ringo manages to bring him back from the dead, but this time, things don't go too well. It looks like after using soul hacking too much, Ringo caught a computer virus, and we need to go inside our GPU to destroy it. This gives us access to the second dungeon in the game, the RTX 3080. It's also when Atlas decides to introduce Mimi. It's a drone that Fig can pilot to support us during dungeon exploration. Alright, I did struggle with the tutorial area, but you know what? I have a good feeling about this dungeon. This time, surely it won't be as bad.
Can't end here. But I can't lose. Get ready.
Run! Run! Leave me alone! Let me go! Yeah, it's not as bad. It's worse. This is when I truly realized how difficult this challenge was going to be. 99% of the fights are balanced around you having Ringo and 3 party members, but now that I can't use them, it's like every random encounter turns into a Shin Megami Tensei fight. It's insane. The game keeps throwing hordes of enemies at me, and now I have to deal with 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 enemies all at once. Oh yeah, about your teammates, during my first playthrough, this is when I noticed a weird design choice for this game. So in battle, whenever you select an action or do literally anything, the characters will start speaking and commenting on it. When you only have one person speaking, it's mildly annoying, but once you have a party of 4, it turns into this.
Eat this!
Dance!
Easy Feel the heat!
Get
Lightning strike!
Dodge
Don't get in my way!
Scream for
Get back
me.
up! Ringo, what's wrong?
Easy
You
win.
all right?
Yippee!
After getting steamrolled for an hour, I came to the conclusion that there were fights I simply couldn't win. So in order to actually stand a chance, I decided to hang near the beginning of the dungeon where enemies were more manageable. It kinda sucks because the demons there are weaker and you gain less EXP from enemies lower level than you, but it was my only chance to realistically level up. After what felt like an eternity, I managed to reach level 10 and then I went looking for demons to recruit. I was able to get Bicorn, Sirenup, and fortunately for me, I also found Mokoi. That Mokoi is extremely important because it's the only demon in this area capable of blocking Elec. You will see why this is important later. As for the dungeon itself, it's not too difficult to navigate, but it really feels like it was designed to make you spend a lot of time walking around. It also doesn't help that Ringo is one of the slowest characters I've ever seen. Like, imagine going from this to this. Ugh. There's actually a way to increase our walking speed, but it's gonna take me some time before I unlock that, so for now, I'll just have to bear with it. In the Soul Matrix, you will often find gates that you can only open if the soul level of your ally is high enough. You can raise that via dialogue choices in the story, and also by feeding their alcohol addiction at the bar. Opening those gates allows you to teach summoner skills to your allies. Some of those skills are very useful when exploring dungeons, so throughout the run, I'll make sure to raise their soul level to unlock more skills. After opening the gate, I managed to reach level 11 and made my way towards the boss of this area, Take Minakata. This boss follows a pattern. It alternates between using physical and Elec attacks. This could have been pretty bad for me, but thankfully I have Mokoi. This demon blocks Elec, so now I only need to worry about the physical attacks. It also has Agi, which is a spell that I can use to exploit the boss's weakness. Things were going great for me, until this happened.
Out of my way.
And now the gang squad is here. Ay ay ay. Wow, that's a crit! What the fuck? What? Oh my god. Ah, the crit. Holy. Why do you crit me? Oh my god, why? Ah, this is not working. This is not working at all. Yeah, this fight is actually stupid. After you remove about a third of his HP, this boss will summon 2 Sirenups. And just like that, this fight went from manageable to Right after the foxes are summoned, one of them will use Dia to heal the boss, while the other will start immediately attacking. The fact that the boss gets healed isn't too bad, since it only happens once. What's a big problem, however, is that the foxes spam Needle Shot. Needle Shot has a high chance to crit, and on hard mode, the amount of damage it deals should be illegal. And what makes things worse is that Take Minakata loves using Defense Kuzuchi to lower my defense, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to have a bad time. The foxes are weak to fire, so I can also use Agi on these guys, but getting rid of them is extremely difficult when they keep hitting me and I take so much damage. This is when I decided to take a break for my sanity. So after getting dumpstered, I found the 3 biggest issues I had with this fight. The first one is about healing. As you saw earlier, I take a ton of damage in this fight, so I need ways to fully heal myself. The thing is, at this point in the game, I cannot buy full heal items like beads. Luckily though, I found a way to get them. If you find your own demons inside a dungeon, there's a chance that they will give you items, and one of these items can be a bead. If I spend enough hours running around and talking to demons, I can get more of them, so that takes care of issue number 1. The second issue is that my damage sucks. In order to win, I need to kill those foxes ASAP, but it takes 3 hits to kill one, and that's 1 hit too many. I had to find a faster way to defeat them, and that's when I thought about using buffs. There's an item called the 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 jelly that I can use to boost my attack for 3 turns. If I use it right before the turn where the foxes get summoned, I should have enough time to hit one of them twice, while the buff is still active. And lastly, the third issue is...
Another one.
yeah, it's needle shot. Dealing with this attack is the most obnoxious thing ever. If they crit me too many times, I simply can't win the fight. Needle shot is a gunfire attack. This wouldn't be a problem if I had a way to block gunfire. Sadly, none of the demons you can get in the Soul Matrix have a way to nullify gun damage, so I have to stick with 𝙃𝘼𝙍 here. My best bet is to dodge the attack. Look, I know that this sounds pretty bad, but dodging is actually more likely to happen than you may think it is. So another cool thing about 𝙃𝘼𝙍 is that the last skill it learns is dodge gunfire, and this passive skill raises my evasion against gun attacks. At last, I had everything I needed. I challenged the boss, and this time I knew that things would be different. This time I was going to...
Another one.
After 2 hours of getting destroyed, as I was about to give up, I decided to try one more time.
Whoop.
Yes?
I'll show you.
Okay,
Don't think so.
come on.
That's no good.
You know what?
Our team's not over yet. I can not over yet. We're
Yeah, let me
this
actually...
side.
let me at least kill this guy.
Out of my way.
I'll show you. What?
Oh!
We can't afford to
Saved.
lose. Accessing.
Oh yes, that miss was huge. Oh!
Don't think so. Still in the fight. Whoop.
Yes.
Like that?
Fine. Up this side.
Ah!
Out of my way.
Finally, those stupid foxes are gone. Oh my god.
Don't underestimate me.
Finally, dude. Let's go. Yes.
Okay, let's roll. Burn. Big damage.
Too late for regrets now.
They're in for it now. You are toast. Big damage.
Too late for regrets now.
Is it finally time? Are we finally free and done from this? Am I finally free?
Charge.
Damn you.
Oh! Yes! Yes! Oh, Jesus Christ! Thank God it's over. Beating this boss was pretty important because it unlocks a bunch of features for us, like new sectors in the Soul Matrix. Each party member has their own Soul Matrix dungeon, and exploring them will allow me to teach useful skills to my dead friends. Also, now Ringo can learn summoner skills if the soul level of my teammates is high enough. I grabbed 𝙃𝘼𝙍 because it allows me to instantly leave a dungeon without needing to find a checkpoint. By the way, in this menu you can see what's going to be the next skill you will get based on the previous skill you learned. For example, if I choose Optimize Process, I only have access to Luck Hack and Electricity Stack. Now, if I go for Luck Hack first, I can still see these two skills, but this time Demon Skill Unlock 1 shows up. This Summoner skill is really good, so in order to get it early, I decided to go with Luck Hack for now. But by far the coolest thing we have unlocked is Demon Fusion at 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘿𝙀𝘍. Demon Fusion is fantastic because it allows us to get new demons, and most importantly, we can use it to pass down skills to new demons. I also visited Tara at Count Smith to pimp my weapon. I can get pretty useful upgrades over here as well as the amazing Commander skills. Commander skills are powerful skills with a turn cooldown. Currently I don't have enough materials to grab these two Commander skills, so for now I will have to prioritize Conversion. Conversion allows me to swap my currently equipped demon during combat, and it's gonna make me more flexible in the future. So after removing the malware inside Ringo's PC, we learned that Mangetsu, one of the Covenant holders, has been spotted in the Central Line subway, and that's going to be our next destination pretty soon. Alright, I can feel it. This time I'm gonna kick some ass.
Sorry, everyone.
Of course. Inside this dungeon, there is a door that I can't go through just yet, so I decided to go elsewhere for the time being. Ah yes, of course, the door does not open from this side. As I was exploring, I stumbled upon one of the goons from the Phantom Society harassing the elderly. This encounter can be scary, but don't you worry, I came prepared. The strat is to take out the 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 first, and fortunately it's weak to Ruin, which allows me to poison it. Now all I have to do is to switch my demon to Onmoraki to nullify fire and wait, did he just recover from the poison early?
Sorry, everyone.
So like I was saying, I just used Poisma on the 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 and let the poison bring it low enough for me to finish it off. As for the Phantom Grunt, the dude can only use fire skills, so swapping to a demon nullifying fire is all you need to do to cheese him. And now I can explore more of the dungeon, but before doing that, I think it's time to finally fuse some demons. I went back to the Gomaden to fuse a Jack Frost, and this little guy is going to make grinding a lot better. You've probably noticed by now, but in this challenge, wild encounters are brutal. If I don't block the damage type the enemies are using, 99% of the time I will get bodied. And that's where Jack Frost comes in. This demon absorbs ice, and in this part of the subway you can find wild Jack Frost who love spamming Bufu. They are pretty much guaranteed to use their ice move, which is going to heal me, so now I have a safer way to grind, and thanks to that I managed to reach level 14. Up ahead there is yet another door that requires a key hidden somewhere. After that I explored some more to get a bunch of goodies until I finally reached the room where the key was, but there is a catch. If you decide to take the key, you get pulled right into a mini-boss fight with 2 level 18 bears. They are level 18, I'm level 14, this is not gonna work. Earlier in this dungeon, I found a totem memory which is required for purchasing commander skills. I brought it back to Tara at 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 to unlock stack optimization. This commander skill increases my stack by 1, so whenever I use it, my sub-buff will deal a bit more damage. After purchasing all my upgrades, I went back to the grinding mines and yeah, it went as expected. I did manage to reach level 18 though, and with that, I was able to fuse a Loa. I got it specifically because this demon resists both physical and ruin, the 2 attack types used by the bears. Loa can also learn rune attacks like Poisma, which is super effective on these guys. The best way to deal with these stupid bears is to inflict poison and watch them slowly die, but with my luck, it's easier said than done. After securing the key, I was able to move forward and reach the next checkpoint. Now, behind this door lies a really difficult boss fight, and I'm nowhere near ready to tackle it right now. I need to prep accordingly. So I went back to the Soul Matrix, and this time I was finally able to get Demon Skill Unlock 1, which increases the skill slot of my demons from 4 to 5. There is a specific demon I'm after, but before fusing it, I need to make sure that its parents have the right skills I want to pass down. I made a Melon Frost, and after it learned Resist Ruin, I fused it with a Jack Frost to get Pyro Jack. And with that done, I was then able to fuse Pyro Jack and Onmoraki to make a god tier demon, 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍. This guy is easily one of the best demons for this point in the story. It's the earliest demon capable of repelling physical attacks, and it also comes with gunfire and elect resistances. Thanks to fusion, I was able to make sure it had Agilao, Resist Ruin, and Dodge Force. There is something about the shape of this demon's head. I don't know, it reminds me of something.
Whoa, what a freak! Looked like a penis.
After fusing, I went inside Melody's Soul Matrix and took on the boss of the first floor, Melchizedek. 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 completely trivialized the fight. I was able to use Needle Rush to abuse its gun weakness, and with Repel Physical, I could make sure that it would never hit me. I can now explore the second floor of Melody's Soul Matrix, but I'm gonna keep that for later. There were new upgrades waiting for me at 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, and it was time to get them. I bought Physical Boost to increase my physical damage when hitting a weakness, and Warrior's Insight to raise my critical rate. Wait, I just realized something about Tara. She's missing one eye, she's basically a blacksmith of the modern times, and then there is that dress she wears. Yeah, she just looks like Ipondatara. With my preparation finally completed, I went back to the central line and opened the door. Ladies, gentlemen, and demons, the time has come. In order to progress, I have to beat Arrow's childhood friend, Kaburagi. If you are one of the 30 people who played Soul Hackers 2, you know that Kaburagi is easily one of the hardest fights in the game. And in this challenge, it's even worse. This man wields the scariest weapon. It's not a demon, it's not magic, it's a Glock. Immediately after your first turn ends, Kaburagi will use Accelerate, and from that point onward, he goes from 1 action to 2 actions per turn. He's weak to ice, but there is a catch. Lennon Seed can use Abyssal Veil to protect his weakness, and as long as she is alive, ice attacks won't be super effective. As for Kurama Tengu, he mostly alternates between using Arm Chopper and Mazan. Being able to attack twice per turn makes Kaburagi a menace, and he has a bunch of moves that he can use to destroy you. He can use Unfair Game to decrease your defense, and if you didn't make sure to bring an elect resistance or immunity, he can hit you with elect shot. But by far his most obnoxious move to deal with is Fatal Roulette. It's a 2-hit gun move that can hit party members at random, so normally, with a party of 4, there is a good chance that the 2 gun attacks won't hit the same person. But since everyone else other than Ringo is dead right now, it means that this attack will always hit me twice. And even with a gunfire resistance, it hits hard. Kaburagi is terrifying, but don't be fooled. He isn't the most dangerous enemy on the field. The real problem is dealing with 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍. She can use Lullaby, which has the chance to inflict sleep on you, but that's the least of your worries. If you don't kill her fast enough, 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 will start using Medea to heal the entire party. And just like that, she can invalidate any progress you've made during the boss fight. And you wanna know the best part? If you manage to take out the demons, after a short amount of time, 𝙃𝑼𝙍𝑍𝑍 will just summon them again, like nothing happened. As much as I would love to ignore 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝑍𝑍, I simply cannot do that. She is weak to fire, which is exactly why I got 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍, but on hard mode, 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍 is extremely tanky, to the point where I simply cannot kill her fast enough before she starts using Medea. And while I'm trying to deal with her, I have to survive the onslaught coming from both 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 and Kurama Tengu. I attempted this fight so many times, with so many different strategies, but the result was always the same. I even tried leveling up each time and seeing if it changed anything, but nope! Level 24, 25, 26, 27? Same outcome. But you know, as painful as it was to keep losing over and over, it taught me valuable lessons. I did some research to see if there was any demon that could have been better suited for the job, and after thinking long and hard about it, 𝙃𝑼𝙍𝑍𝑍 was still my best bet. 99% of the time, Kurama Tengu alternates between using a physical attack and force. So with Repel Physical, I can make sure that I avoid taking damage from Arm Chopper. What I needed to do was to remake another 𝙃𝑼𝙍𝑍𝑍 and give it more valuable skills for the boss fight. I kept 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 to hit 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍, I got Resist Ruin to decrease the damage of 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍's Lullaby, I also added No Sleep to guarantee that it would never put me to sleep, and lastly, I decided to grab Dodge Gunfire. With how often 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 goes for gun attacks, increasing my chances to dodge is going to be huge. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't give an ice skill like Bufula to 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍. Well, that's because you simply cannot pass it down to this guy. You see, when it comes to skill inheritance, what demons can or can't learn depends on the type of that skill. For example, 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 cannot learn Ice, which is why I can't give it Bufula. Now, I could just swap my demon mid-battle to something with Bufula if I wanted to, but no other demon so far has the same defensive capabilities that 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 has. So that's a bad move. Since 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 takes neutral damage to fire, I will simply have to use 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍. That covers my choice of demon. Now, let's talk about my opponents. Kurama Tengu is the least threatening enemy on the field, so I don't need to focus on him. 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍, on the other hand, is a problem. My biggest issue with her is that I do not deal enough damage to take her out before she starts healing everyone. Even at level 28 with Fire Augment 3, it was still taking 3 attacks to defeat her, and that was too much. In order to stand a chance, I needed to finish her in 2 hits, and that's when I realized that using an attack buff was the only way to achieve this. Buffing was obvious. What wasn't obvious though was finding the right opportunity to use that buff. It took a lot of thinking, but I was able to find it after studying 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍's attack rotation. She always follows the same pattern. Turn 1, she uses Abyssal Veil. Turn 2, she goes for Lullaby. And on turn 3 and 4, she goes for Medea. Knowing that she starts healing on turn 3, I have to take her out before that happens. So at the start of the fight, on turn 1, I will use my attack buff. Then on turn 2 and 3, I will hit her with 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍. I can also use stack optimization to deal a bit more damage with my stab buff. This part of the fight is really difficult because I have to spend 3 turns without ever healing once. I pretty much have to hope that I don't die, which is rough, but if I manage to survive the first 3 turns, dealing with 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍 becomes a lot easier later on. After fighting 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 so many times, I got a good feeling for when he would summon his demons again. So if I know that 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍 is coming back next turn, I can preemptively start buffing right before she gets summoned. Doing this ensures that I will be fully buffed before she starts her attack rotation, and this allows me to get ahead. Then, if things are going well, I can finish her in 2 turns. Part of what makes buffing so risky for me in this fight is that I have to choose between healing myself or buffing. This used to be a massive issue until I realized something. I found out that I could purchase an item called the Tarukaja Dango, which buffs my attack and also heals me as well. I made sure to grab 5 of those, and after all this planning, I went back to the central line to challenge 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 again. Immediately on the first turn, I used my Tarukaja Pearl to buff, and then I started attacking 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍. In this attempt, Kurama Tengu was busy spamming Arm Chopper, and I managed to dodge 2 attacks from 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍. Thanks to that, I was able to kill 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍. This time around, I was playing more aggressively and attacking 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 with 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍. Whenever I knew that 𝙃𝘼𝑍𝑍 would be summoned again, I would use a Tarukaja Dango in advance. Doing this meant that I could hit her before she would even start her attack rotation. This made it possible for me to afford healing myself while still having enough time to KO her before she went for Medea. After taking her out for the second time, I managed to deal enough damage to trigger the second phase. Now 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 can use Overdrive mode to power up, and on the following turn, he is able to use Execution, a really powerful almighty attack. The cool thing about Execution is that while it deals a ton of damage, 𝙃𝑼𝑍𝑍 always recovers from the recall after using it. meaning that it won't be able to attack me twice during that turn. This fight is incredibly sweaty, but with my new strat, I managed to make it a lot more consistent. And then, something really cool happened. Yep. As expected, you summon her again. What do you do? Ah, yes. Yes. Less damage.
Take time to improve. Fine. This audit, you're toast.
I can heal her next turn. And then hopefully I can heal my MB. Okay, it's finally in the red. Okay, it's finally in the red. Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, whoa! Yes! Yes, baby! Yes! Yes!
Let's change this.
Okay, I can feel it. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
This ought to do it. You're toast.
Too late for regrets now.
Here's a boost.
Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. I have to fully heal here.
Careful now.
I have to fully heal.
Can't be too careful.
Nice. Next turn I have to buff, knowing that Land and Seed is coming.
Take my full strike.
Okay. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this.
Let's get down to business. Powering up.
I need your help.
Yep.
Not yet.
You probably summon Kurama Tengu now. So I should be able to leave.
Accessing burn. Good hit. Out of my way.
I need your help.
I should be fine. I only take one attack from you right now. Good, good, good. Alright, fully heal now. Do the bead.
Can't be too careful.
Next turn I take like 3 attacks or... yeah, Kurama Tengu gets reflected. So 2 attacks from Kaburagi. And then 1 from Land and Seed.
Not yet.
Well, that works. That works, yeah. Alright. I still have the buff from Tarukaja.
Improvise. Initiating sync. I won't lose. Let's roll.
Alright.
This ought to do it. You're
Be gone.
Too late for regrets now.
Ah, it's so close.
Here's a boost. I will pass.
careful now.
We'll win this.
Here goes.
Yes, I'm almost there. Yes, I'm almost there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on. Yes. Wait, wait, wait. Do I live this?
You can take my
Oh, please don't tell me I die. Please, no, 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 no. Yes! 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 Yes, 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 yes. Yes!
I won't lose.
Alright. Be gone, Tarukaburagi! Yes! Yes! Oh.
It's not over. It's not over.
Oh! Finally! Oh.
You're wrong.
Oh.
It's over.
Yes. This is it.
Freedom! Oh, I hope I'm recording right now. After murdering Arrow's childhood friend, the gang find Mangetsu Research Lab, and that's where we make an interesting discovery. This place is filled with tons of pictures of Arrow. It's pretty much a stalker's basement.
Someone's got a crush.
We also found a pretty interesting journal here, but no one can read it. Fortunately, Arrow knows someone who can decipher the journal, and to find that certain someone, we will need to go to our next destination, the Komadori Orphanage. After discovering the creepy Arrow shrine, we went to the Komadori Orphanage, then we meet with the man in question, Raven. Thanks to his help, we managed to learn more about the Covenants, and also locate where Mangetsu was last seen. The path forward is clear, but there are a couple of things that I needed to do before going. I went inside the Matrix and got 2 new summoner skills for Ringo, Physical and Elect stack. These skills add 1 more demon to the stack whenever I strike a Physical or an Elect weakness. Inside Saizo's Soul Matrix, I challenged Dionysus, who is the boss of the first floor. He didn't put much of a fight, and after defeating him, I unlocked the ability to fuse him. With the boss out of the way, I decided to go inside the second floor of Milady's sector, and after opening a new gate, I finally unlocked Assassin Steps. This ability increases Ringo's walk speed for a certain distance, and it makes a big difference. As a side note, if you're part of the 20 people who played Soul Hackers 2, then you might know that on November 17th, Atlus dropped an update for the game, and this update added a dash function. It significantly increases Ringo's walking speed, making it so that you don't need to spam Assassin Steps every 40 seconds anymore. It's pretty cool, but the update wasn't live when I did my run, so yeah, I had to spam. Since I was still inside the Matrix, I decided to knock out 2 quests. All I had to do was collect specific items inside Milady and Saizo's sectors, and just like that, I unlocked the ability to fuse the Aura and Nigi Mitamas. I can't fuse them yet because I'm not high level enough, but these little guys are going to be extremely useful in the future. It's time to explore a brand new dungeon. Subway line 40. Wait, really now? So we went from searching for Mangetsu inside the subway line to searching for Mangetsu inside the subway line. With Assassin Step, I easily go through the dungeon, and shortly after, I managed to reach Ash, who is the first boss of this area. So for this fight, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you don't have to defeat Ash, you only need to drop her HP into the red. The bad news is that this fight is obnoxious. It starts easy because she only attacks once per turn, but after you deal enough damage, she will use Accelerate to attack twice and summon the chicken. Just like Kaburagi, she has a unique almighty move called Ashes to Ashes, but unlike Kaburagi, after using it, she can still attack you. KFC can give you Dread, which makes it more likely for enemies to land critical hits on you. As for Lilim, it can give you Daze, and that status effect will sap your MP at the end of each turn. Dealing with the status effects was just too frustrating, so I had to find a better demon for the job, and that's when I found Dionysus. This demon nullifies Ruin, and this is huge because blocking a Ruin attack prevents it from dealing damage, and if it can't hit you, it can't apply a status effect. All I need to do is to slap a resist gunfire on this guy to make this demon perfect, but sadly my level still isn't high enough to use him. Now obviously I could go fight the demons inside the subway to level up, but they are all lower level than me, so grinding would take forever. As I was thinking about a less miserable way to grind, a thought came to me. Hey, I can fight risky enemies. So in this game you have the red enemies, and then you have the big purple ones called risky enemies. They are always way higher level than you and pretty difficult to kill, but if you manage to do it, you can get a lot of EXP. What's pretty cool is that the type of risky enemy you encounter changes based on your own level. For example, from level 20 to 29, you will meet Bugs and 2 Sandmen. Then from 30 to 39, it will be Ipondatara and the KFC duo. Before reaching level 30, fighting these guys was rough. Against this risky group, the only one I had the chance to kill was the bear because it was weak to poison. So I had to hope that I could kill it somehow and then use a Trafuri bomb to run away. You still get EXP from the demons you defeated even if you run away, so I did that a couple of times to level up. But after reaching level 30, things got a lot better for me. At that level, you start fighting these guys. Ipondatara always goes for physical attacks, and the Chicken Gang always spam Ruin, so if you can nullify these 2 attack types, you are golden. I already had the Mishagushi to repair physical, so I fused the Basilisk for its natural Ruin immunity. My plan was to use Mishagushi to take down Ipondatara, and once it was gone, I swapped my Basilisk to deal with the Chicken Gang. It took a while because these enemies are really tanky, but with enough patience, I managed to reach level 31 and then I fused Dionysus. After equipping Dionysus, things went much better against Ash. With her demons unable to damage me, I was able to focus solely on her, and in no time I dropped her HP low enough to end the fight. Beating Ash grants us access to the lower area of the subway where there is some kind of demonic barrier in place. If you go through these special doors, some will close behind you while others will open. Honestly, it was pretty fun to figure out the correct path to move forward here. Soon enough, I reached the end of the dungeon and I had to prepare for the upcoming boss fight. That boss uses Fire and Ruin, the 2 attack types that Dionysus is immune to. This should make it the perfect counter, but it's lacking something. I need to give it the support skill Flame Wall. The thing is, you cannot have more than 1 copy of a demon in your stock. Since my current demon Dionysus doesn't have the skill I need, normally I would have to fuse it into something else and then remake another Dionysus while making sure that I pass down Flame Wall. This is kinda annoying, but I am in luck because there is another system that you can use to pass down skills, the God tier Mitama fusion. This is how it works. When you fuse 2 demons of the same race, you get an Elemental Frost. If you then fuse 2 Elemental Frosts together, you get a Mitama. Now, if you fuse a demon with a Mitama, the result is always going to be that same demon with some stat boost based on the Mitama you used. So what's the deal with Mitama fusion then? Well, stat boost aside, the main appeal of Mitama fusion is that it gives you another chance to select skills that you can pass down to your demon. So instead of having to remake the same demon from scratch, you can give the skills you want to transfer to a Mitama, fuse that Mitama with your demon of choice, and then you can give these skills to your demon. This is exactly what I'm going to do. My Jack-O-Lantern is a fairy and adds Flame Wall. By fusing it with my Jack Frost, which is also a fairy, I got a 𝙃𝑼𝙍 Frost. Then I fused my 𝙃𝑼𝙍 Frost with a Lemon Frost to get Aramitama. Lastly, I fused Dionysus with my Aramitama, and just like that, I was able to transfer Flame Wall. This is an amazing feature and I will definitely be abusing it moving forward. I was finally ready to challenge the demon responsible for the barrier, the goat-headed demon 𝙃𝘼𝙍. 𝙃𝘍 can use fire attacks like 𝙃𝘼𝙍 and Fire Breath, or the rune spell 𝑚𝐺𝑎 to inflict Seal, which prevents you from using your skills. If you block fire and ruin, this boss literally can't hit you, until it starts using Flame Break. Then you are in trouble. Flame Break reduces whatever fire resistance you have back to normal for 3 turns, and just like that, your fire null is gone, and this guy can concentrate to drastically increase the damage of its next magic attack. This is exactly why I got Flame Wall. With this skill, I can increase my fire resistance to remove the Fire Break debuff, so now that the boss is back to not being able to hit me again. From there, I just had to click Zionga to hit the weakness, use Flame Wall a couple of times, and just like that, I was able to easily defeat the goat-headed demon. With the silly goat out of the picture and the barrier gone, I made it to the last part of the dungeon where we finally meet face to face with Iron Mask and Zenon. Unfortunately, they got to Mangetsu before we did, and they didn't just kill the man to get his covenant, no. Iron Mask also ordered Zenon to eat Mangetsu so that we couldn't revive him with soul hacking.
No matter how hard you try, I am always one step ahead.
So not only did he know where Mangetsu was hiding, he also knew about Ringo's ability to revive people. How intriguing, it's almost like he knew our plan. In any case, now we have to deal with both of them at the same time. This is one of those fights that you cannot win. The goal is to survive long enough, and it's not that hard to do. The scariest turn is near the end when Zenon goes for Greedy Claws, but as long as you guard and you don't have a gun weakness, you got this in the bag. After realizing that victory wasn't on the menu today, the gang decided to use the secret Joey Star technique. Alas, we couldn't beat Zenon, and now that Iron Mask has another covenant, things are looking even worse. But that's when 𝙍𝘍 reveals that back there in the subway, he found a broken smartphone. And what follows is probably one of the most ruthless things Ringo ever said.
Wow, nothing gets past you, 𝙍𝘍.
How do you think I've survived this long?
You didn't. You died. We all saw it.
Conveniently, it turns out that the broken smartphone was Mangetsu's phone, and he left us a message. Apparently, very important data is inside the phone, and somehow Arrow is linked to all of this. Okay, seriously, I have to talk about that video. So, at the end of the video, we clearly see that Iron Mask noticed the smartphone on the ground and decided to crush it. Why? Why didn't he simply take the phone? If Mangetsu had found a way to hide the smartphone, I wouldn't mind all of this, but no! Iron Mask saw the phone! Mangetsu clearly didn't have time to end the recording, so there is no way Iron Mask wouldn't notice that the phone was recording something while he was looking at it. Do you seriously expect me to believe that this man, who is always one step ahead, wouldn't grab the phone? The only reason the plot doesn't fall apart is because Iron Mask conveniently didn't think about checking a suspicious phone on the ground that was still recording when he found it. How? How do you not check the phone, you stupid idiot? Okay, I'll stop modding. Let's move on. After discovering this, Fig gets a DM from Raven. Looks like he wants to know what happened inside the subway. He also seems to have useful intel for us, so it's time to go back to Komadori. Thanks to GigaChad Raven, we learned that Metalface was spotted near the Ozaki Hope Towers, so that's where we will be going once the new moon shows up. A couple of days later, it's finally the new moon and I can now explore the Ozaki Hope Towers. The first part of the dungeon involves going through Tower A, and for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. The only annoying thing is that throughout the dungeon, you will find a Mothman who always starts the fight by draining your MP and running away, leaving you with a horde of demons to take down. It can catch you off guard if you aren't prepared for it, but it shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. Trust me, I definitely didn't die at least once during one of these encounters. Soon enough, I reached the last floor of Tower A, and knowing that the boss fight was waiting for me, it was time once again to prepare. Now, I could go straight to the Gomaden and start demon fusing, but what kind of a customer would I be if I didn't make sure to visit Tara first? This time, she got more new toys for me, one of them being a really good commander skill called Damage Condenser. If I use this bad boy, I can make sure that my Sabbath will only hit a single target instead of all enemies, and it will deal a lot more damage. Now, let's talk about Demon Fusion. The next boss encounter is gonna be a rematch against Ash, and this time I have to actually beat her. For that purpose, I made two demons. 𝙃𝘍𝑚 for Ash, and for Pazuzu, I made Arabaki. Thanks to Mitama fusions, I was able to give useful skills to my 𝙃𝘍𝑚 like Zanma and Resist Force. For my Arahabaki, I only gave it Bufudyne to hit Pazuzu, and then I filled all the other slots with skills to patch up its resistances. I went back to the towers where Ash challenged me for a round 2. Instead of attacking her directly, you should really focus on Pazuzu first, because it can use a very annoying ability called Miasma Breath. This attack will deal chip damage to you at the end of your turn, and the damage it deals increases every turn. Thankfully, you just need to take out the Pazuzu to remove the Miasma. After that's done, I can use Conversion to swap Arahabaki with Baphomet, and then I can start using Concentrate to deal massive damage with Zanma on the next turn. After clicking Concentrate for the third time, I switch to Arahabaki and heal myself. This defensive switching allowed me to take minimum damage from the onslaught of attacks, and on the following turn, I swapped back to Baphomet and nuked Ash to take the win. We then enter inside the room where we expected to find Iron Mask, but surprise, surprise! It was a trap! It looks like Iron Visage knew that we were coming, almost as if he knew about our plan to strike during the next new moon, huh? Sadly, in order to save the entire team, Fig agreed to come in person and sacrificed herself. Now Gimp Mask has all the covenants, but surprise, surprise! Something went wrong! In reality, Fig wasn't dead at all, and Bondage Hood just got jebaited. It's time to give a good spanking to Iron Mask. That is what I would like to say, but this fight is kinda tricky. So in order to win, you need to defeat both Iron Mask and his Pokémon. Zenon's gimmick is that before attacking you, he will spend a turn using Contract's Ward to change his affinities, and on the following turn, he will use a strong elemental attack. The color of the aura tells you what the element of the attack will be, and you can also deduce his weakness based on that too. For example, if the aura is red, it means that he will use a fire attack and is currently weak to ice. So naturally, with that in mind, you wanna target his weakness, but you can't do that. You see, the first demon Iron Mask will summon is Power, and as soon as it gets a chance to act, it's going to use Abyssal Veil to protect Zenon's weakness. So you gotta kill that guy first. This wouldn't be too bad, except for the fact that his power is really tanky and is only weak to gunfire. Oh, and remember when I said that Power was the first demon summoned? Yeah, that's because Iron Mask can also summon Silky and Vouivre. If you let Silky live long enough, he will start using healing spells, and if Vouivre gets low on HP, he will start using Concentrate to deal a ton of damage to you on the following turn. As unprepared as I was, I did manage to beat Power, and this allowed me to finish off Zenon, but in the end, I made a wrong prediction which ended the fight. Before strategizing, I went to the Soul Matrix to get the new summoner skill for Ringo, and the time had finally come for me to get one of the best Ringo skills in the game. Recursive Processing. This skill has a low chance to activate, but when it does, it gives me one additional action during that turn, so whenever it procs, Ringo gets to act twice. I can't rely on that since the chance is quite low, but it's gonna be a huge boon regardless. Now, about the Iron Mask fight. One of my issues is that it took too long to kill Power because it has a gun weakness. You see, increasing the power of your elemental spells is simple. You just need to equip the appropriate mystique. But for physical and gunfire, there are no mystiques that you can use. So how do you boost them? Well, you do that via comp upgrades. In this game, each party member has access to specific upgrades based on their weapon. Arrow and Saizo have gun comps, so they get gunfire boost to increase their gun damage. For Milady and Ringo, with melee comps, it's different. Instead, they get physical boost, and this is where the issue lies. Ringo cannot get gunfire boost. This means that outside of buffing, her gunfire damage will always be lower than anything else. So to defeat Power, I'm gonna need two things: a strong gun attack and charge. Charge is like Concentrate but for physical and gunfire. It increases the damage of my next attack. Out of all the demons I can fuse so far, Power is the earliest demon I can get with Divine Shot, which is the strongest gun skill I have at the moment. So I made myself a Power, and then with Mitama Fusion, I managed to give it charge and resistances to patch up its affinities. Knowing that Zenon is weak to everything on turn 1, I use Damage Condenser to increase the damage of my Sabbath. Soon after, Power gets summoned, which is my cue to change my strategy. Whenever Recursive Processing procs, I can attack twice, which makes dealing with Power a lot easier. As for Iron Mask, it can hit you pretty hard, but what you really need to watch out for is the turn where it goes for Order. After using Order, on the following turn, Zenon will go for his strongest attack, Greedy Claw. This attack deals severe damage, decreases all your stats, and heals Zenon. It's pretty scary, but there is a clear counterplay. Greedy Claw is a gunfire attack, and it doesn't pierce, so as long as you block gunfire, you will be safe. This is exactly why I made Arahabaki, so whenever I know that Greedy Claw is coming, I can swap to that demon and avoid taking damage completely. Eventually, I managed to take out Power, and that allowed me to hit Zenon's weakness directly. I then went for Concentrate, and when the opportunity finally presented itself, I was able to take out Zenon with a really powerful Agidyne. With Zenon down, all I needed to do was take out Iron Mask, but before I could do that, he summoned Power, which meant that I had to yet again deal with that demon before I could hurt the main boss. I was able to take out Power for the second time, and with 2 Zeodynes, Iron Mask finally fainted. Xenon got destroyed, but Iron Mask managed to absorb the remaining Covenants before running away like the coward he is. This is when we learn how Fig is still alive. She created a second body that she could pilot remotely, just like with Mimi. Fig also somehow managed to create a virus and plant it inside the Yellow Covenant, so when Xenon absorbed it, instead of getting stronger, he actually got weakened. She basically made him download the Trojan virus. Remember kids, this is exactly why you shouldn't download files from random strangers. With the situation taken care of, we can finally get back home to meet Fig again. Oh, also, it's pizza time. So there is something a bit fishy about Iron Mask. Earlier it was established that he had the Blue Covenant, but after defeating him, we clearly saw that Xenon had the Blue Covenant. Up until now, we've only seen a Covenant being transferred after the death of its previous holder. So if Iron Mask is still alive, how did he transfer his Covenant to his Pokémon? Well, Milady has an answer for us.
The real Iron Mask is already dead. The man behind that mask now is an imposter.
Excuse me?
Imposter.
Man, I sure hope this Iron Mask, this imposter, isn't someone we know. It would be such a shame if this imposter was among us. But wait, there's more! Fig managed to repair Mangetsu's smartphone. You know, the smartphone that Iron Mask conveniently left in the subway instead of grabbing it, the smartphone that he could clearly see was recording him and didn't find suspicious at all. Oh, you Sorry, I was getting angry again. So, about the smartphone. By channeling the power of the plot, Mangetsu managed to create a fake Purple Covenant. Then he found a way to transfer the real Covenant to Arrow by cutting off his own arm. Mangetsu, in his infinite plot wisdom, also found a way to seal the Covenant to hide its presence. Now we need to go inside Arrow's psyche to unlock these memories. Back in the Matrix, I managed to raise my soul level high enough to unlock new summoner skills for Ringo, and this time I grabbed Demon skill unlock 2 to bring the slot count from 5 to 6. After that, I went to the first floor of Arrow's Soul Matrix to investigate. There is a special sealed gate in here that Ringo visibly can't open. There it is, she's making the face again. By sheer willpower, Arrow unlocks the gate and now I can explore the special sector. What you are essentially doing is piecing together Arrow's sealed memory fragments. You just need to gather all of them to open the main gate. After doing that and going down the longest stairway I have ever seen in this game, we meet the boss guarding Arrow's memory. Vritra has a bunch of elect spells and can use Concentrate to deal even more damage. I thought that it would be easy to just focus on Vritra, but that was a mistake because these two succubi over here are some of the most annoying goons I've ever seen. They have ruin attacks to annoy you with status effects, they can decrease your defense and accuracy, they can remove your elect resistance, and last but not least, they can use the almighty attack Life Leech to suck you dry, and this attack is stronger than it has any right to be. It sucks, and they suck. Quite literally. Eventually, I got tired of getting milked, so I went to the Gomaden to pimp my Arahabaki. I give it Concentrate, Zeodyne to hit the succubi's weakness, and also resist ice just in case they wanted to use Bufula. With these changes, things went a lot smoother, and then Vritra got dumpstered by a Concentrate boosted Zendai. Ringo then removes the seal on Arrow, unlocking his Covenant as well as his memories. Ah, nice. I think now is a good time to go back to Komadori and discuss with our trusted friend Raven. So, yeah, I'm sure you realized by now, but Raven was the imposter all along, and he's waiting for us at the West Shipping District. There is really not much to say about this dungeon. The enemies here are pretty dangerous, but for the most part, I didn't have much trouble collecting the loot and reaching the final checkpoint. After making him wait for about 2 hours, I finally met Raven at the rendezvous point for a final showdown. It was time to eject this crewmate from the ship. This time around, he will not summon back his demons if you defeat them, so it's a good idea to start knocking them out early. The first one I needed to take out was Weave, because she can use Concentrate and Megiddola to deal insane damage. Fortunately for me, she's weak to Ruin, which is perfect for my Futsunushi. With Makajama, I have a high chance to seal her, preventing any spells from coming my way. Whenever she gets sealed, she will default to using physical attacks, and those attacks get repelled by my demon. With a couple of Makajama, I was able to defeat Weave without too much trouble. The next target was Power. While I was slowly whittling down Weave, it kept hitting itself with its own physical attacks. This made my job a lot easier, and after swapping to my own power, I was able to take it out pretty quickly. As for Silky, all I had to do was switch to my Baphomet, click Concentrate, and then boom! Up until now, Raven has been pretty tame, but soon after you deal enough damage, Phase 2 will start. He will then use Accelerate to get 2 actions per turn and activate Reactive Armor. Reactive Armor turns all his resistances into repels, so you won't be able to hit him. At that point, Raven will start using Elemental Purge, and the element of that attack will become his weakness for 1 hit. Unfortunately for my boy Raven over here, his purge attacks do not pierce, so as long as I nullify the element, he cannot hit me. All I had to do was set up with concentrate and wait for the weakness to get unlocked before I could deal massive damage.
So, this is really it then.
Well, this was a bittersweet finale, but at the very least, the deed is done. All's well that ends well. I mean, sure, Fig didn't take it very well, but it's not like she's going to become our enemy or something. Yup, that's right. Fig went rogue, and in order to stop her, we need to go through the final dungeon, the 24th Ward Municipal Tower. We are now officially in the endgame. Alright, let's see what this dungeon looks like. Wow! I'm sorry, what? Aren't we supposed to be inside the building right now? Like, what is this? I like how for the entirety of the game, most dungeons were pretty grounded, you know, we went from subways to shipping districts to buildings, and then for the final dungeon we are under the sea. Jokes aside, I really like this dungeon. Pretty early on, there is a mini boss fight with two Phantom Society grunts. It's a 4 versus 1, but there is really nothing to worry about. The main demon you want to take out first is 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 because it can use Makarakarn or Tetrakarn to repel your magic and physical attacks. Once 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 is gone, you can easily finish them off one by one. And right after these goons, we get to see the main gimmick of this dungeon. Vortexes. Each vortex leads to a different part of the dungeon, and you need to find the right path to progress. There are also a bunch of 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍s who can change the direction of the vortex to send you somewhere else. Further into the dungeon, there is a vortex pod that's unattended. I kept exploring and getting warped around until I finally found the 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 who could unlock the vortex, and thanks to that little fella, I was able to make it to the checkpoint. Also, while exploring, I found the Jesus Greaves. This accessory doesn't really give good defense, but it increases the dodge chance against all affinities. For reasons that I cannot explain, I feel like this is going to be extremely useful in the future. After decimating the demon population inside the dungeon, I got enough demon materials to purchase one of the best commander skills in the game, Overclock. It has a long cooldown of 5 turns, but that's for a good reason. Whenever I use this skill, it will increase my action count by 1, allowing me to act twice during that turn. What's funny is that this tags with recursive processing, so if recursive processing procs and I activate Overclock, I get to act 3 times during that turn. It's really juicy. Back inside the municipal tower, I tried to pass through the area beyond the checkpoint, but before I could go any further, I had to defeat the Grand Executor of the Phantom Society, 𝙃𝘍𝘍.
I'll crush you!
I can't lose.
Okay. Right, so the thing with 𝙃𝘍𝘍 is that his physical attacks naturally pierce through your resistances, and they hit really hard. Fortunately, in this game, Pierce doesn't go through Repel. I can't afford to take those hits, so my best bet is to equip a demon with Repel Physical. This limits my option though, because out of all the demons in this game, only 6 of those have Repel Physical, and most of them are pretty low level. I wasn't sure about which one I should be using until I realized that my favorite demon in the entire Megaten series was perfect for this job, 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍. Now, at first glance, this might look like a risky choice because 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 has a bunch of elemental weaknesses, but for this fight, it's okay because 𝙃𝘍𝘍 only goes for physical skills. On top of that, 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 has 2 things going for it. Good strength and magic stats, making it a fantastic mixed attacker, and lastly, 𝙃𝘼 is able to inherit physical and force skills, the 2 affinities that 𝙃𝘍𝘍 is weak to. Once I reached level 60, I made a 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 with 2 offensive skills, Bamboo Slice and Zendine. And then I used the rare candy to level it up to 61 so that it could learn Concentrate. With my Giga Chat 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍, I challenged 𝙃𝘍𝘍 once again, and this time, it went so much better. After you remove about a third of his HP, 𝙃𝘍𝘍 will use Law of Wisdom to change his resistances. This makes him weak to physical attacks instead of force, and it's exactly why I made my 𝙃𝘼𝘍𝘍 a mixed attacker, but it's too early to celebrate because the fight isn't over just yet. 𝙃𝘍𝘍 has a unique move called Guillotine Fake, which always takes you down to 1 HP. The move itself isn't too bad because 𝙃𝘍𝘍 attacks twice and usually he ends his turn with Guillotine Fake, so on the following turn you can easily go back to full HP. So based on everything you heard so far, this fight should be pretty easy, right? Right? Well, let me show you what happens next. Oh, here we go. Is he gonna do double Megiddo Oh my god, he is! Oh my god.
Sorry, everyone.
Ay, we have a problem. Right after using Guillotine Fake, 𝙃𝘼𝙍 will go for 2 Megiddoleons back to back. Almighty skills like Megiddoleon cannot be blocked, and you also can't repel them. This is just like that one SMT meme posted on Reddit. I hate how accurate it is. Now, on its own, the double Megiddoleon turn wouldn't be too bad if I could use the block command to decrease the damage. The issue is that right before that turn, 𝙃𝘼𝙍 will drop my HP to 1 with Guillotine Fake. This forces me to heal, and healing myself means that I can't defend to decrease the damage of the double nuke. After thinking about it for a bit, I concluded that I needed to raise my Vitality stat. Vitality affects your max HP and helps mitigate the damage you take, which is exactly what I needed. In this game, you cannot allocate your stats after leveling up, so my best bet is to use stat boosting items called Incense. The cool thing about Soul Hackers 2 is that you can actually purchase these items at the shop. You just need to bring special materials dropped by risky enemies. I got my hands on a couple of those, and just like that, I was able to go from 61 to 70 Vitality. I then finished taking my steroids and fought 𝙃𝘼𝙍 for the 4th time. So, with my Vitality being higher, you would think that I could survive the double Megiddoleon, right? Yeah, I managed to survive it. It was enough. With the biggest hurdle out of the way, I was able to easily secure the win. After getting destroyed, 𝙃𝘼𝙍, being the pro gamer that he is, decides to rage quit, allowing me to explore the 4th floor of the dungeon. I somehow missed the fact that the door I needed to take was literally right in front of me, and spent 16 minutes running around like a headless chicken until it finally registered in my brain and I was able to find the next checkpoint. I was satisfied with my progress, so I made it back to the city to grab more upgrades. First, I went back to Countsmith to unlock physical Pierce 3. With this upgrade, my physical attacks can now pierce through Resist, Null, and Drain to deal full damage. Then I went to the Gomaden to tweak my 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍. This time I ditched the mixed attacker moveset to focus solely on Charge and Bamboo Slice. I gave him Null Elec, Null Force, and Null Fire to cover its weaknesses, and lastly I kept Expert's Advice to raise my odds of landing a critical hit. Back at the Pokemon League, a new challenger was waiting for me. This time I have to defeat the champion of the Soul Hackers 2 region, Pokemon Trainer Hozumi. I like to refer to Hozumi as Pokemon Trainer Red, and that's because of how the fight works. Hozumi doesn't go on the offensive. Instead, his main thing is that he summons his Pokemon to fight you while he keeps using X items to buff them. He also has an infinite supply of max revives, so he can bring them back after you take them down. Attacking him directly is pretty annoying for 2 reasons. First, he has no weakness that you can exploit, so dealing decent damage to him can be quite challenging. The second reason is that whenever you attack Hozumi directly, all his Pokemon will use Ally Counter to retaliate. Eventually, he will have 4 Pokemon on the field, so you might not want to risk attacking him just to get slapped 4 times in a row. I just realized something. His demons. I've seen them somewhere else. Kuhulin, Cerberus, 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, and Titania, which is pretty much a glorified pixie. Wait, this is just like in the demi... So, what you're supposed to do here is to target the Pokemon and rely on Sabbaths to indirectly hit Hozumi. But that's when playing normally. The thing with the Ally Counter is that it's treated like a basic attack. Depending on the demon, the type of a basic attack is either physical or gunfire. This means that as long as you block these 2 affinities, the Ally Counter cannot hit you, and this completely trivializes the fight. Since the Pokemon weren't able to hit me, I was free to attack Hozumi to my heart's content, and eventually, the Pokemon trainer was forced to bend the knee. Defeating Red made me the champion of the region, and while it felt good, it wasn't the end of my journey. It was time to explore the second part of the final dungeon called Bones. Alright, can we talk about the design of this dungeon though? I mean, it's pretty cool and all, but are we still inside the building right now? And I thought the early floors of the dungeon were weird. Man, I was mistaken. What am I even looking at right now? Spines? Rib cages and giant baby fetuses?
What about babies? You guys got any babies?
And here we are, folks. I took a deep breath, crossed the threshold, and came face to face with Fig. Oh, my head. Oh, my head. Oh, no. Oh, I feel nauseous. Oh.
Why can't you understand?
Oh, boy. Ooh. Wait, what? Gun resistance sharply down.
I knew this wouldn't be easy.
Oh my god, I have a gun weakness now. Oh no.
So...
I don't think there's any way to fix this, is there?
Back on track. I won't lose.
Why can't you understand? It's useless.
Oh god, she's giving me a gun weakness.
Your pain.
Holy!
Why can't you understand?
River can't lose.
Okay, now that's a problem. As you just saw, things are already not looking good at all. Let's put aside the fact that she can attack 3 times per turn. Fig has the most terrifying move I've ever seen so far. Neo-Dogma makes you weak to gunfire for 1 turn, regardless of your resistance. And this is a big problem. After getting hit by Neo-Dogma, I'm forced to heal, and on the following turn, Fig is guaranteed to go for 2 gunfire attacks that I cannot survive. And as if the attack wasn't strong enough already, Fig will always use Arc Light to debuff all my stats, ensuring that I take even more damage. I thought about potentially raising my vitality high enough to survive the gunfire attacks, but that wasn't realistic. With how much damage I'm taking right now, I would need an insane amount of grinding and incense to survive, and that's something I wasn't willing to do. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't think of any viable strategy to counter Neo-Dogma, so I decided to use the fusion calculator made by 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍𝙀𝘍. Typically, I use it to find the optimal way to pass down skills to a demon, but this time, what specifically interested me was the skill list tab. In here, you can find a list of all the skills in the game, as well as the name of the demons capable of learning them by level up. Since I couldn't think of a single strategy, I spent the remainder of my time scrolling through the entire list, looking at every single skill to see if I could find something useful. I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling until something finally clicked. Dodge Gunfire EX, the upgraded version of Dodge Gunfire, which greatly raises my evasion against gun attacks. In order to get that skill, I had to fuse the only non-DLC demon capable of learning it, Anzu. After doing that, I grinded inside the municipal tower until Anzu reached level 64 and learned Dodge Gunfire EX. The skill was in my possession, and the time had come to think about which demon I would use during the final battle. I did a bit of research, and that's when I realized that Zeus was excellent for this fight. In order to fuse Zeus, I had to reach level 75. This would take ages if I was fighting regular enemies, but thankfully, risky enemies exist. By fighting them over and over, I was able to get enough EXP to reach the level 75 breakpoint. Once that was done, I made a Kushimitama with what I needed, and fused it with Zeus to pass down all the useful skills. That's cool and all, but Dodge Gunfire EX probably isn't enough. I wonder if there is something else I could use. Oh, that's right! Thanks to the 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, I should be able to boost my evasion even higher. And so, with all of that done, I challenged Fig once again to see how good the dodge strat was.
You understand?
That all you got?
Hey, let's go! Dodge
Why
strat!
can't you understand?
That all you
Dodge
got?
strat! Yes!
Why can't you understand?
That all you got?
Triple dodge!
Stand. Rest now.
Yeah, as effective as the dodge strat was, in the end it was too reliant on luck. I needed something more consistent, a safety net in case I wasn't able to dodge. And this is when I realized that this entire time I had forgotten about the perfect skill to deal with this. Shield deployment. For 1 turn, this skill grants you element immunity, as well as a huge defense boost, which is exactly what I was looking for. With my testing completed, I went back to fight Fig, and soon enough, I reached the point where she landed a Neo-Dogma on me. It was the perfect opportunity to test the effectiveness of shield deployment.
Why preserve your pain?
Now you've done it, babe.
Yo, that's amazing. This commander skill made Tendry Gore go from dealing around 900 damage to 494. Actually insane. With this, I was guaranteed to survive 2 Tendry Gore, and thanks to my 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, I had a chance to dodge Fig's attack, which meant that instead of playing defensively, I could go on the offensive. And after a few turns, I was ready to deal enough damage to reach the next phase of the fight. It's time for phase 2. In this part of the fight, Fig will summon 4 copies of herself. You cannot attack the main body directly. First, you need to take down all the copies, and yeah, I wasn't ready for this. Right after you trigger the phase shift, the Fig clones will attack you. To prepare for that, I tweaked my Zeus at the Gomaden. I kept Tornado, Concentrate, and Dodge Gunfire EX, then added Null Fire, Null Force, and Null Ice. Once that was done, I tried the fight again and made it to phase 2 without too much trouble. Each clone has a unique role, and you can tell what they will use based on their color. Green uses Force, Red uses Fire, Blue can use Mediarama to heal or Ice to attack, and Purple goes for Makara Khan or Rune attacks. As for Fig herself, despite being impossible to hit directly, she can still act and use moves like Overclock to give extra actions to the clones. Out of all the clones, the purple one is the most important to take out first because if left unchecked, it will keep using Makara Khan to repel magic attacks, preventing you from hitting the 3 others. The purple copy is only weak to physical skills. My Giri Mekala would be perfect for this, but unfortunately, right now it only knows Deathbound. This physical AoE hits foes at random, so I can't use it to consistently hit purple. The fight wasn't going anywhere, so I just accepted defeat and changed my Giri Mekala's moveset to include Bamboo Slice. Then, in order to defeat the rest of the clones, I made 2 other demons. Throne and Titania. I gave Agidyne and 𝙃𝘼𝙍 to Throne to hit the green and blue copies. As for Titania, I gave her 𝙃𝘼𝙍 to hit the red copy, as well as 𝙃𝘼𝙍 for coverage. These changes made the rematch a lot better. With 2 bamboo slices, I was able to take out purple. Whenever you defeat a clone, Fig's main body will take damage, and that's what you need to do in order to win. Without having to worry about Makara Khan, I was able to swap to my Throne, and with 3 powerful Agidynes, blue went down. After taking out 2 clones, Fig will use Master Conversion to change the weaknesses of the remaining copies. Red became weak to Elec, which was perfect for my Throne. For the green one, it took me a bit longer because I didn't know what it was weak to. Eventually, I found out that the answer was the fire weakness, and with a concentrate boosted Agidyne, I took out the last clone. At this point, Fig is pretty much one hit away, but you need to watch out because she gets to attack immediately after the clones are defeated. Since I had the right resistances, she wasn't able to hit me, and I sealed the deal with a tornado from my Zeus.
The future you seek, where you win, exists only beyond eternity.
Oh my, oh, whoa!
So this is it.
What happened? What happened? Did you think it was over? Nah, far from it. Right after the first fight, Fig turns into a Great One from Bloodborne, and we have to defeat her a second time. Cyber Ion is naturally immune to Ruin and resists everything that's not almighty. It also gets 2 actions per turn, so you need to watch out for that. For the first few turns, you won't be able to hit a weakness at all, but that changes once it uses Meta Sacrament. This move buffs Cyber Ion, but as a result, it gains 2 weaknesses. These 2 weaknesses are either Fire and Ice or Elec and Force. By default, the resistances of a boss are hidden behind a question mark, but they get revealed once you do land an attack. So thanks to the Agidyne I landed earlier, I was able to know that Cyber Ion's new weaknesses right after using Meta Sacrament were Fire and Ice. With this knowledge, I was able to swap to my Titania to use 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍. Cyber Ion cannot pierce through resistances, so to make the fight more manageable, I made sure that all my demons had the right resistances. This prevents Cyber Ion from hitting me with most of its dangerous attacks, but I still have to watch out because it has a bunch of very strong almighty skills. If it goes for Sing, on the following turn it will use a really powerful almighty skill called New Wards Down. Your best bet to mitigate the damage is to guard, use shield deployment, or a mix of both. Right after that, it used another one of its unique mechanics. With Apostle Genesis, Cyber Ion creates a new enemy that you have to worry about. The Cyber Apostle has no weaknesses or resistances. The first thing it will always do is using Cyber Protocol. This grants Cyber Ion the ability to use stab-offs if they hit a weakness, but with all my immunities, it will never happen, so I don't have to worry about it. What is concerning though is that the boss can use Thesis Paradox to remove all your buffs and fully debuff you at the same time. This move is dangerous because it allows its almighty attacks like Entumesis to deal a lot more damage to me. At this point, I thought that it was fine to ignore the Apostle, but that was a big mistake. You see, after a certain amount of time has passed, the Apostle will blow up. This could have been really bad, but luckily for me, the boss didn't use any almighty skills, so I was able to survive. Now that I understand how dangerous the Apostle can be, I will always make sure to take it out before it decides to blow up on me again. Unfortunately, this is where the battle becomes extremely tedious. Once its HP drops below 50%, Cyber Ion will use Pure Void to decrease the damage from attacks hitting its weaknesses. And when I say decrease, I don't mean slightly decrease, no! It makes my concentrate boosted 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 go from 1369 to 376. And keep in mind that the effect of Pure Void stays active for the entirety of the battle after it's used, so now my attacks will always be nerfed into the ground. Pure Void makes the fight drag on a lot longer than it should, but outside of that, not much changed. I made sure to look out for the new weakness, and I used concentrate boosted magic attacks to deal as much damage as I could, until I finally dropped its HP into the red. This is when the fight truly gets dangerous. Once you reach this point, Cyber Ion will start using Abyssal Eye. With this move, the boss gets an attack boost at the cost of gaining a new weakness, but that's not what makes it scary. The real kicker is that it can keep using Abyssal Eye up to 4 times, and every time it uses the skill, the attack boost gets stronger and stronger. After fully buffing itself 4 times in a row, Cyber Ion will infinitely go for Sing followed by New Wards Down, and this will not stop until it is defeated. With the attack boost, every new wards down deals well over 1000 damage, forcing me to heal every single turn. At this point, the only thing I can do is keep healing until overclock becomes available. With that summoner skill, I can get 2 actions during a turn, so I can heal myself and then use concentrate, or go for an attack if concentrate is already active. It's either that or getting lucky with recursive processing. The problem though is that after using overclock, I have to wait 5 turns before I can use it again. For 5 turns, I have to endure the continuous assault of Cyber Ion, and while that's happening, my MP as well as my supply of healing items are decreasing rapidly. After taking everything into account, I went for the only strategy that could give me a chance to win.
Big, I'm putting an end to this. This'll turn the table. This'll do it. Boosting physical parameters. Big, they're in for it now. Playing it safe. I won't lose. Yeah, good
Alright,
plan.
now it's time to actually attack.
Big! Too late for regrets now.
We're almost there! Almost there! Almost. I believe. I believe. Oh!
Careful now.
Alright.
Big!
Is it done?
Big, I'm putting an end to the time to bust out the big. Initiating sync. This ought to do it.
You know what?
Careful now.
I'm not taking any chances.
Out of my way.
Oh, yes! Yes! Hey, I did it! Hey! Now, in normal circumstances, this is where the video would end, but if you're part of the 12 people who played Soul Hackers 2, then you probably know that Atlus released the story DLC called The Lost Numbers, and within that DLC lies the super boss of this game. Initially, I was going to handle this just like with my SMT5 videos, one for the full game and one for the DLC super boss. But let's be real, this game isn't Persona or Shin Megami Tensei. This is Soul Hackers 2. As much as I enjoyed it, there is clearly not much interest around this game, so if I make a second video, I am pretty sure that it's going to royally flop. So, I decided to add the DLC Super Boss as a bonus segment for this video. Alright, the time has come to answer the question that nobody ever asked. Can I beat the Super Boss of Soul Hackers 2 in hard mode without party members? Well, let's find out. The Lost Numbers DLC is a series of 7 side quests involving a mysterious girl called Nana. After you take care of all of them, you will unlock the quest tied to the Super Boss, Tribute and Worship. To complete that one, we will need to go inside the brand new dungeon introduced with this DLC, the Hashigaya Training Field. Now, about this place. While I do like the aesthetic, this is easily my least favorite dungeon in the game. Every floor looks exactly the same, and I find this extremely boring. While most dungeons in this game are nothing to write home about, at the very least when you're exploring them, you are actually finding new areas with different layouts. Meanwhile here, it feels like someone made one room, then did Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V for each of the 20 floors. Truly, the peak of dungeon design. The only thing that changes is that they put some barriers here and there to make you take a slightly different path. So instead of having to go straight through the bridge, you have to take a detour to find the blah 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 blah, Atlus blah 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 blah, Cope blah 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 blah. So instead of listening to me molding, let's talk about my actual reason for being here.
I am the Destroyer.
Yup, the super boss fight in this game involves fighting Shiva, and also Parvati. Fighting this guy solo in SMT5 was a nightmare, and you are telling me that he is in this game too? Ay 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 ay. Normally, this is the part where I would be doing my usual spiel and describing to you what these bosses can do, but there is a problem. A really big problem actually. Let me show you. You see this right here? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Immediately at the start of the fight, Shiva will use Mani Lingam while Parvati goes for Padma Yoni. These attacks prevent specific party members from hitting the bosses. In other words, the boys cannot hit Shiva and the girls cannot hit Parvati. And you wanna know the best part? This effect lasts for the entirety of the fight. Ringo can hit Shiva, but she has no way to hit Parvati directly. I tested everything I could think of. Almighty doesn't work, magic attacks don't work, even if the skill you use can hit the weakness, it will still get blocked because of Padma Yoni. If this stupid effect didn't exist, the fight would be so much different. I did manage to bring Shiva really low, but then on the next turn, Parvati straight up nuked me with a gigantic Megidoleon. On my second attempt, I was able to defeat Shiva and that felt great, until I realized that I was still stuck with Parvati. In order to win, both Parvati and Shiva need to be defeated. I kept attacking to see if something interesting would happen, but nope, nothing I did could hit her. After many turns of nothing happening at all, I got to witness one of the unique mechanics in this game. If you take too long to finish the fight, Shiva and Parvati can use Apocalypse Light. It's a giant almighty attack that deals damage equal to your maximum HP stat. Basically, it will always kill you and it's essentially a timer. As if dealing with Parvati wasn't difficult enough, if I take too long, Apocalypse Light comes in to kick me while I'm down. I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I think that's it. Throughout my journey, I managed to defeat really powerful foes without party members. A lot of battles felt impossible to me at first, but I always managed to somehow pull through. But in the end, the biggest wall I ever encountered wasn't a gangster, or demons, or even my former android friend turning into an eldritch cosmic being. No, it was sexism. I became a victim of discrimination based on my gender. I never thought I would be saying this while playing a game, but here we are. If Ringo cannot defeat Parvati, then I'm forced to use one of the male characters in my party. But doing that would completely invalidate the entire point of this whole video and I wasn't willing to accept it. I tried to see if there was any glitch or tech I could use to bypass Padma Yoni, but nothing came up. Eventually, I fell into the darkest pit of despair and I started drinking. All I wanted was for the pain to disappear, so I kept drinking and drinking in hopes that I could drink the pain away. However, it was too early to give up just yet. Thanks to my previous challenge runs, you could say that I built a certain tolerance for pain. One might say that to some extent, I enjoy it. Before abandoning this for real, I had to give it a fair try. So I went back to the dungeon and got repeatedly bodied by Shiva and Parvati while trying to find a solution to my problem. Nothing came to me for a couple of hours, but then I realized something. If I hit Shiva's weakness, my demon form a stack and then they perform a Sabbath dealing additional damage. So far that makes sense. But the thing with the Sabbath is that it hits every foe on the field, and as you can see here, Parvati gets damaged by my Sabbath. This got me thinking, is it possible to indirectly defeat Parvati with Sabbath damage? It was at that point that I thought about using a very specific commander skill, Damage Condenser. Damage Condenser narrows your Sabbath to one chosen target, and it also increases the damage of that attack. This skill lets you pick which target you want the Sabbath to hit, so I thought to myself, hey, since Parvati can take Sabbath damage, what would happen if I use Damage Condenser on her? To get an answer, I went back to the dungeon to fight Jesse and James, and after a couple of turns, it was time to test my theory. Yes, it worked! This was the breakthrough I was looking for. With this commander skill, I was able to circumvent Parvati's sexism to hit her indirectly. The other cool thing about this is that as long as I use Damage Condenser, my Sabbath will only hit Parvati. Shiva will not take Sabbath damage, and this is important because I need Shiva to stay alive as long as possible for the strike to work. Now, while everything I found so far was useful, it still wasn't enough, so I did two things. The first one was collecting incense to boost my stats, and for that you need materials that you can only get against risky enemies. These guys are pretty rare, but luckily there are meals that you can eat to raise the odds of them spawning. And then I kept killing them over and over until I had enough materials to buy a ton of incenses. This process took ages and was really boring, but eventually, after many hours of mindless grinding, I managed to boost my magic stat a lot higher. That was the first thing I did. The second was researching tandem skills. So in this game, there are special skills called tandem skills that your demons can learn or inherit via fusion. If the demon with a tandem skill is in the stack, there is a chance that the skill will pop up before your Sabbath goes off. You then have a limited amount of time to select the skill to activate it. It's also worth noting that you can only activate one tandem skill at a time. There are a bunch of tandem skills with various effects, but for the purpose of this challenge, two of these tandem skills looked extremely useful to me. Sabbath Striker, which deals additional damage, and Sabbath Drain, which does the same thing as well as draining MP. After finding the tandem skills I wanted, the next thing I needed to do was teaching these skills to as many demons as possible. The more demons I have with tandem skills, the higher my odds of getting them to proc becomes. So, I went on the calculator and found a list of all the demons who could learn tandem skills. After looking carefully at the list, I selected 7 demons and gave them either Sabbath Striker or Sabbath Drain. After that, I created 4 more demons to hit Shiva's weaknesses. Metatron with 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, Seb with Sabbath Striker and the gunfire attack 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍, Inanna with Undyne, and my own Shiva with Bamboo Slice. Once my prep work was over, I challenged Shiva and Parvati again. Here is the strategy I came up with. I will only attack when Damage Condenser is available. This guarantees that whenever I attack Shiva, Parvati will take damage from my Sabbath. Damage Condenser takes 3 turns to recharge, so while I'm waiting for the skill to come back, I can start setting up. I go for Concentrate to boost the damage of my next attack, I buff myself with an item, and then I use Debilitate to debuff Parvati. Then, when the setup is done, I use Damage Condenser and hit Shiva's weakness. This allowed me to deal pretty good damage to Parvati, but I encountered a new problem. I was dealing too much damage to Shiva and he kept dying before Parvati was defeated. With my magic stat being a lot higher than before, using Concentrate boosted spells ended up backfiring on me. It's after I noticed this that I ended up tweaking my strat. Instead of hitting Shiva with my magic spells, I went for physical and gunfire attacks exclusively. Since my strength was a lot lower than my magic, I was able to reduce the damage Shiva was taking while ensuring that Parvati was still getting hit decently hard. And what made that possible was the fact that Shiva has a gunfire weakness. If you recall, earlier during the run I said that Ringo's weakest affinity was gunfire because she didn't have access to gunfire boosts like Arrow and Saito did. This used to annoy me every time I had to fight a boss with a gunfire weakness, but here I realized that my shitty gunfire damage was actually a blessing in disguise. Even with charge and a crit, 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 still wasn't dealing enough damage. This was exactly what I needed. Thanks to my shitty damage, Shiva was guaranteed to stay alive a lot longer, while Parvati would keep taking a lot of damage from my Sabbath via Damage Condenser. Also, if I was lucky, Sabbath Striker or Sabbath Drain could activate and allow me to land an additional hit. Eventually, I managed to bring Parvati really low, and at the start of my next turn, my recursive processing activated at the best possible time. Charge was active, I was buffed, and Parvati's defense was decreased. After spending hours refining my strategy, I had finally found a solution. With my determination at an all-time high, I used Damage Condenser on Parvati and landed 2 Bamboo Slices on Shiva to seal the deal.
Accessing to slice them. You must be hungry. Tear 'em up.
Face me.
You thought this was over? No. Everything I've done up until now was just for the first part of the fight. As soon as you defeat Shiva and Parvati, you have to beat their fused form, Ħarda. And man, this part is quite something. Ħarda naturally acts twice per turn and repels every affinity except Almighty. This makes dealing damage pretty difficult, but what you really need to pay attention to is Ħarda's special gimmick. This boss has a move called World Upheaval and it does 2 things. First, it will assign an affinity to wherever is targeted, and this symbol means that the next attack you take will be converted into that affinity. So for example, if World Upheaval gives you the ice icon, it means that the next enemy attack will be treated as an ice attack. It doesn't matter if it's physical, fire, or almighty, it will hit you as if it was an ice move. This only lasts for 1 attack. The second effect of World Upheaval is that whatever affinity it locks you into becomes Ħarda's weakness for that turn. Once the effect wears off, Ħarda's resistance will go back to normal. What this boss loves to do is using World Upheaval to lock you into an affinity, then going for Concentrate. Whenever that happens, it means that on the next turn it will go for a really powerful 𝑚𝐼𝑔𝑖𝑑𝑜leon. This new gimmick actually creates an interesting scenario. Normally, against almighty moves, you have no way to block or repel them. However, if Ħarda assigned an affinity to you, it means that the next attack is guaranteed to turn into that affinity. This means that if World Upheaval gives me the ice type, 𝑚𝐼𝑔𝑖𝑑𝑜leon will be treated as an ice attack. So if I use the commander skill conversion to swap to another demon with a repel ice, then I can repel 𝑚𝐼𝑔𝑖𝑑𝑜leon back at Ħarda. It's pretty cool, and this is only possible because of how the gimmick works. Sadly, things get a lot more complicated from there. After the first 𝑚𝐼𝑔𝑖𝑑𝑜leon, Ħarda will summon 2 Kalis. It will then keep doing its strat of locking your affinity and using Concentrate, but this time it's actually your problem because of the demons. You see, the effect of Ward Upheaval is only active for one hit, and these Kali's are guaranteed to attack before Harda. This means that if one of these two hits me, the effect will wear off, and then I will be forced to eat the boosted Almighty Megidolion, and as you can see here, that's a lot of damage. So to avoid this scenario from happening, I need to kill these demons ASAP, but doing that is kinda difficult. The demons summoned by Harda have no weakness that you can exploit, and on top of that, they are really tanky. I wasn't able to kill the Kali's in time, and this led to my first game over against Harda. I attempted to fight 2 more times and still got destroyed by Harda's Megidolion, but this time, something was different. I was finally starting to understand the mechanics of the battle. Regarding Ward Upheaval, the affinity it locks you into isn't random, it's whatever your lowest resistance is. So if my demon is only weak to fire, it will lock me into fire. This means that I can control the affinity I get locked in. So instead of covering all my weaknesses, this time I'm going to purposefully leave one weakness to make Ward Upheaval predictable. With that in mind, I tweaked my Inanna and Metatron to make them synergized. This will make more sense once we get back to the battle. After doing that, I explored the boring DLC dungeon and I actually found an amazing accessory, the Witch's Collar. This gear has really good defense and it also allows you to survive a lethal attack once per battle, which is huge. Thanks to this item, I will have some kind of insurance in case something goes wrong. I prepared my demons, equipped the Witch's Collar, and attempted the fight once again. I had already figured out this part of the fight, so it wasn't difficult to bring both Shiva and Parvati in the red. Before ending phase 1, I swapped to my own Shiva. I then did my charge, buff, debilitate setup and killed Shiva with Bamboo Slice. The damage condenser Sabbath wasn't enough to defeat Parvati, but fortunately for me, Sabbath Striker activated and it was able to end phase 1. Now we are in phase 2, and as soon as it starts, Harda goes for Ward Upheaval, giving me the Ice Affinity. I knew that it would give me the Ice Affinity because my Shiva blocked or absorbed every affinity except for Ice. This allowed me to swap my Lilith in and use Concentrate. Since Lilith repels ice, Harda's Megidolion gets reflected and I avoid taking any damage. Right after that, Harda summoned the Kali squad, but this time I was prepared. See, on the following turn, Harda is guaranteed to go for the Ward Upheaval and Concentrate strat. So this means that if I attack right now, and then I attack again on the following turn, I should be able to kill the Kalis. With that in mind, I swapped to my Metatron and went for a boosted Megidolion, which dealt a lot of damage to the Kalis. As expected on the next turn, Harda used Concentrate followed by Ward Upheaval, locking me into the Forced Affinity. This was exactly what I wanted. I then switched to Inanna and used Undyne to hit Harda's weakness. The stab of damage was enough to kill the Kalis, and when Harda went for Megidolion, it got blocked because Inanna had the Forced Immunity. This is the synergy I was referring to earlier, and I call it the bait and switch. Metatron is only weak to Force and blocks Elec. Inanna is only weak to Elec and blocks Force. If I have Metatron equipped and I get hit by Ward Upheaval, it's guaranteed to lock me into the Forced Affinity, and it also gives Harda a Force weakness. Inanna knows Undyne and blocks Force, so if I switch to my Inanna right now, I get to hit Harda's new weakness, and I also avoid taking damage from Megidolion since it turns into a Force attack and I block Force. The same logic applies if Inanna gets hit by Ward Upheaval. It will always lock me into the Elec affinity, so I can switch to Metatron to hit Harda's weakness while avoiding taking damage. During the enemy phase, Harda summoned Ganesha and gave me the Elec affinity. Right after that, recursive processing activated, allowing me to attack twice during this turn. This was fantastic, but unfortunately, I made a mistake. After switching to my Metatron, my plan was to use Megidolion to hit both Ganesha and Harda, then land a Zeodine on Harda and have the stab-off damage take out Ganesha. This strat worked against the Kalis, so I thought that it would also work here, but I vastly underestimated how bulky Ganesha was. I failed to finish him off, and because of that, Ganesha's Megidolion was able to remove the Ward Upheaval effect, and I got nuked by Harda's own Megidolion. Thankfully for me, I had the Witch's Collar equipped, so I was able to survive. It was at this point that I realized something about the demons Harda can summon. They have a hidden gimmick. These demons naturally take less damage from every affinity, but they take increased damage from Sabbath. I wish I had realized this sooner, but it is what it is. After enduring the Megidolion, I used Overclock to grant myself 2 actions. This allowed me to set up Concentrate and fully heal myself. Harda then gave me the Elec affinity, and all I had to do was switch to my Metatron to deal a ton of damage with Zeodine. Right before the all-out attack, Sabbath's Drain activated, so I was able to knock out Ganesha with Sabbath damage and drain Harda's life to restore my NP. Very soon after that, Harda resummoned Ganesha and I was once again in a bad spot. The issue with Ganesha is that he is so bulky that I cannot kill him fast enough. And if I can kill him fast enough, he is going to use Megidolion to remove the Ward Upheaval effect, forcing me to tank the boosted Megidolion from Harda. And unfortunately, this exact scenario was going to happen to me on the following turn. This wasn't ideal, but I still had a way out of this. I needed to survive the incoming boosted Megiddoleon. The thing is, I didn't know how much damage it was going to deal, so this was a complete shot in the dark. So I decided to use a healing item and prepared myself for the most pivotal moment of the fight. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me! Ah! Whew, we live. Right after that, recursive processing procced and I went for overclock. With these 3 actions, I was able to use concentrate, fully heal myself, and buff to increase my damage. Ganesha did manage to use 𝙃𝘼𝙍𝘍 to heal Harda, but I wasn't too concerned because I knew that I could outdamage the heal with my magic attacks. Soon enough, Harda locked me into the Elec affinity. But this time, things were going to play very differently. Excellent. Ah, yes, baby! It's time for you to die.
This ought to do it. Big damage. Yeah, good. This ought to do. Good hit.
Come, my blood star.
It is time. Enjoy. Hey, let's go, my demons.
Dinner time.
Let's go. Yep, Ganesha dies. Good.
Let us go.
And now I don't take damage. Awesome.
Let's roll. Let's get down to business. Powering up. Boosting physical parameters. All right. Accessing data. Weakness found. Thunder. You're done.
Hey, let's go! Harda defeated solo with just Ringo. GG. GG. And there it is, folks. If you wanna check the full fight, you can find a link to it in the description below. Speaking of super bosses, if you enjoy what you saw, then I recommend watching this video where I challenge the Demi-Fiend in SMT5 without demons. Thanks for watching, I will catch you another time. Bye bye.